Thank you all for coming once again. So last week we discussed cleanliness in Krishna consciousness. Some devotees said to me they had some more questions, so just for a few minutes, if anyone has any questions from last week, specifically about cleanliness, then we can try to answer those questions. Does anyone have any questions?
The standards we discussed are actually applicable equally at the home as well, apart from the temple.
Are they what?
The standards of cleanliness which we discussed, they are also equally applicable to the home, or is there any flexibility in those standards?
What it means is that if you want to practice those things in your life and implement them, that's a good thing. If you can implement them as part of your daily life, in other words, living as a Brahmana or a Brahmani, Brahminical standards, that's very good. Of course, when you're at home, you have more flexibility because it's your own home, so you can keep a more lax standard if you like. But it's good if devotees do get in the habit of following a stricter standard just in their day-to-day life. Especially if you want to become a worshipper of the deities, a Brahmana in the future, then you should learn to live like that, to live as a Brahmana. Like that. But of course there's always flexibility, which is that according to circumstances. Any other points?
That is, the standards that you have set for deity worship, the standards that you have told for deity worship, are they only for touching the deities, or they should be followed for chanting and for just doing the arti as well?
Yeah, for the arti it should be there.
For the arti, or only for doing personal worship of the deities?
Once again, it depends on what your standard is in your home. So if you go onto the altar in the temple, you have to have full standard. Some devotees, they may have that standard in the morning when they dress the deities, but if they do a arti later in the day, the standard may be slightly lesser. So that's your personal choice, how you want to do that. So what we're giving is the topmost standard and the temple standard, and then you have to decide whether or not you can follow that. I don't need water, so it's okay. So you have to see if you can follow that. That's your personal choice. But there's minimal standards, things that you cannot, like if you're past stool, for example, then you're contaminated. So but then some devotees, they may pass water, but then they may, cleanse themselves to the basic standard, and then they may offer the arti.
Prabhu, I want to ask you one question. What about putting the achana water on the head? Is that
it's not a full snan. It's not a full snan. It's not. Don't think that replaces taking bath, putting on fresh cloth. The main point is the cloth. That's the main point.
The cloth is
the cloth, right? Because if you've gone to the toilet, you've passed water, then there's a certain level of contamination which has taken place. You can't enter onto the temple altar, you can't go into the deity kitchen. At your home, if you're dressing the deities in the morning, that's not an acceptable standard. If you're doing the evening offering, bhoga offering, then maybe you'll do like that. So you have to see in your own home what will be good. Any other points?
Prabhu, sometimes people sprinkle Ganga Jal and say this is purification. Not that after passing stool or anything, but sometimes unknowingly they touch certain items coming from outside, and just to purify, taking Ganga Jal and sprinkling.
Yeah, of course. Then that's purifying. Any water is purifying. Pure water is purifying, and Ganga Jal is especially purifying. The water that you've invoked the sacred rivers into by chanting mantra, that's also purifying. But that doesn't replace a full bath. That's the point. You can't just sprinkle some Ganga Jal and say, now I'm Suchi, and then it doesn't work like that.
No, especially Maharajis when they're having their period, the bed and all.
So it purifies. But when the woman is having her period, then she's contaminated. Thus. In Vedic culture, the women don't go onto the altar.
No, they don't go, but after the fourth day, the bed requires to be cleansed. So
cleansed means you have to wash all the sheets, everything has to become fresh
again. The bed can't be done. So
yeah, but then everything's clean. Your bed's never clean. You wash the sheets. You never wash your mattress. You don't take your mattress out in the yard and spray it with a hose and everything. You don't do like that.
After Gita part, we take the mats out and sprinkle the water.
Yeah, a mat is different, but a mattress, we all sleep on mattresses, you can't purify a mattress, it's always contaminated. That's why the bed is always contaminated, that's the point. We're asking for if anyone has any questions about, from last week, about cleanliness. Does anyone have any questions? Deepak?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have two questions. First one is like, I saw with, as mentioned you before, like, my wife normally, she does.
You shouldn't say your wife, you should just say.
Normally after taking the bath, she does the, the washing and all that. So in that way, she becomes muchi.
Okay, it's a very good point. So, you've got up in the morning, you've taken a bath, you put on fresh cloth, you're clean, and then you're doing some things, you chant your japa, and then you go and get your laundry, which is all contaminated, you put that into your washing machine, and then you go and cook the breakfast for your deities, you're contaminated now. You've touched your dirty washing. You have to plan your life in such a way that you put the washing into the machine earlier or the night before, so in the morning you just press the button, but as soon as you touch that, you're contaminated. So devotees have to, that's practical. You had another question?
And second thing, Prabhu, you mentioned regarding we can't take the books on the bed.
You can't put Shastra on the bed, yeah.
But as what happened with the e-books, electronics, like we got it in the mobile phone, we got all that, and we always keep the mobile everywhere, even in the washroom.
Just be practical, that's it.
That is okay. We can read on the, normally I lie down on the bed and read, that before going to bed. Is that
So, any other points?
Further to Deepak Prabhu's question about touching the clothes and putting it in the washing. If I remember, I have read somewhere that if you touch something with your hands, then even stool, then if you just wash your hands, then you're not contaminated. But if the lower part of the body touches something contaminated, then you have to take a full bath. Can you throw some more light on that, please?
You have to find a Shastric reference. I can't think of one. My understanding is that if you touch stool, then you have to take full bath. That's it.
Like mothers who have small babies who clean their diapers.
One thing you have to understand, according to Shastra, children are always contaminated. Children are always muchi, right? So if you get up, right, in the morning, you take full bath and everything, then you go and hug your child, and then you go and do your puja or whatever, then you're contaminated. Children are always muchi. That's the point. Prabhupada said they are from Vaikuntha. But they're always contaminated.
But Prabhu, I find Mataji's preparing flower garlands and paraphernalia with the children, grandchildren.
The children should never go into the paraphernalia room.
But they are there.
The children should never go into the paraphernalia room. The children have no place in the paraphernalia. It's the deity's area. The children should never go into the kitchen, the temple kitchen.
Up to what age, Prabhu? In the paraphernalia?
When they start understanding what suchiness means. When they understand for themselves, what I'm speaking here now, when they begin to understand that and they can practice that, that's when they can start going in. So whatever that age is, 12, 14, whatever that age is, when they understand what is suchi, when they themselves, a child doesn't understand. Right? She's sitting there now, she'll listen to the whole class, but she'll go out and put her fingers in her mouth. So she doesn't understand what it means. Like that. So when the children begin to understand it, that's when they become to that standing.
We understand that Matajis are not allowed during those 4 days period on the altar. What are the other sevas that we can do apart from going on the altar?
During that period? Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, it says that in terms of the home deities, the women can still cook for the home deities. Because he says it is the soul, the jiva, who is worshipping the deity. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur says that. In terms of the temple deities, then the Matajis, they can't go in that time. They can't go onto the altar, they can't cook for the temple deities. At home, they can still dress the deity, they can still cook. According to the permission of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. He is given permission. So he is. Any other points?
But they make flower garlands in the temple. Is that allowed?
While they're contaminated?
Yeah.
What's the standard in the temple?
It's allowed.
It's allowed. So it's allowed. So that's the standard. So anything else?
Is there any book which says the rules to follow at home?
At home, there's the Archana Padati, which ISKCON has, which is the book on deity worship that has rules for home worship in that. And they're producing a new version, which should come out hopefully next year.
Is that the orange cover?
Sorry, what's the name of the book?
Archana Padati. Srila Prabhu has been working on the new version that should come out this year or next year.
At home?
It has a section on home worship, what to do with homes. Anything else?
The other thing you said about the left hand. And I was just thinking there are so many things you can't do without the left hand, like making garlands, even putting the dress on the deity.
That means be practical. You just have to do it.
Okay.
From morning when we are going to take bath, we are going to go to take bath, that time when we touch the clothes are becoming contaminated. How do you take the same clothes?
I already discussed that last week.
With a towel you have to touch the clothes and take it inside, or
You have to get yourself organised so that
next
the
day?
night before everything has to be organised while you're suiting.
Okay.
Oh, that's it.
So when I came here, they told me city remain clean, then I can wear again and again. You were saying 2 weeks, but 2 weeks of wearing, or after 2 weeks I need to wash it if I wear just one?
No, you can wear it for 2 weeks continuously, but as soon as you go to the toilet to pass water, to pass stool especially, or if you eat in it, it's contaminated.
But if I,
So this is silk, right? So if I'm wearing this today, if I worship the deities, I come off the altar, right? I take off my cloth, I put on some cotton like that, I eat, I bathe everything. Then in the evening, I take bath, I'm clean, I put on this same cloth again. I can do that for 2 weeks. As long as I don't eat in it or pass water in it like that, it stays clean.
but I'm thinking if you have in the case of the ladies, they have special saris just for festival, and they wear once a year, for example, for Yamashtami. That is, I'm thinking they can wear like 15 times in 2 weeks.
Not like that, no.
No.
It also is mentioned in the Shastra that things become stale. Cloth becomes stale, like that. So it actually, I think it mentions after 3 days, cloth is considered stale, like that. So it means it has to be washed continuously. But to be practical, it just means that, you can wear the same cloth for 2 weeks, like that. But, if you're wearing one cloth, then you should be washing that regularly, even if it's just sitting in the cupboard, it becomes stale. Anything else? I'll take one more because I want to move on to Prasadam, so go quickly.
After the birth, when the child and mother can come to the temple, is there any fixed number of days they can't come or anything?
Is there something in Shastra that says something?
So what's the question?
About how many days after the mother's giving birth before she can come to the temple with the child?
I thought it used to be 40 days.
40 days.
40 or 14?
40.
14. I think it's
40.
40.
40 days.
Ask Banu Swami, send him an email. He knows everything. Or ask Nisrin Kavacha, he knows. Ask them. I know he did. Very quickly, sure.
If somebody passes in the family, normally with 11 days, no, one should not come out.
To the temple. It says in Nectar of Devotion, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, it says for the Brahmanas, I think 11 days, for the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas 15, for the Shudras 30. That's what it says.
But you can still do the chanting?
What's that?
Still do the chanting?
You can still do your chanting. Like that. Okay, so we'll go on to Prasadam. That's tonight's topic. So, how to honour Prasadam. Okay. When a devotee distributes prasad, remnants of food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasad as the Lord's grace received through the pure devotees. So the premise is prasad is non-different from Krishna. You have to understand this point. As soon as Krishna touches that prasad, it is non-different from him. Right? It becomes spiritualized. It is part of the spiritual energy, his personal energy, his internal potency, the Daivi Prakriti. Just like this mridanga is part of the spiritual energy. It is Krishna's energy. right? So it must be respected as such. So prasad, as soon as it has been accepted by Krishna, it becomes spiritualized. It is no longer material energy, right? It is spiritual energy. So if you mistreat it, you're directly offending Krishna. So this is the basic premise, is that prasad is non-different from Krishna. So we have to understand that point. Okay, so remember that Krishna prasadam is non-different from Krishna. We recite the Sharira Abhijajal prayer to remember that. So we should learn that mantra, what it means. Mahaprasada Govindi. Sharira Abhijajal. This prayer was written by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It was in Bengali. We should understand the meaning of the prayer. So when we're chanting the prayer, we're mindful that this prasad is Krishna's remnants. Quite often they joke in ISKCON that if you want to cure your insomnia means you cannot sleep, then the mantra for curing the insomnia is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Starts to fall asleep. Right? And then the mantra to wake everyone up is Sarira. And then it automatically comes back to consciousness. So you should understand that the prasad is non-different from Krishna. We're all very attached to prasadam. It's the only thing in the bhakti process that we're spontaneous about. Everything else we have to follow the rule and regulations. Everything else we find difficult, but we don't find honoring prasadam. So it's the one thing that you have to get right. If you're going to honour Krishna's prasad, at least understand that it is non-different from Krishna. It is Krishna himself. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says it is Krishna's saliva which has touched the prasad, which then transforms it into spiritual energy. So it is non-different from Krishna. Okay. Use the right hand to eat and drink. We discussed this last week. If you want to get technical, we should get technical, then it means when you're taking prasad, you only touch with the right hand. Right? You never touch prasad with the left hand. Right? If you take the chapatis, you break them with the right hand. Right? You watch devotees who understand how to do this, but you don't pick them up with the left hand or like this, like that. The other day I saw one devotee was upstairs, he was like, breaking the puri and then eating like, I said, Prabhu, don't touch with your left hand. Right? It's disrespectful to Krishna. So you learn to break with your right hand the puris and you eat like that. With the left hand you can drink as long as you don't touch your mouth. What we say Brahman it. When you drink and we pour like that. Then if you can do like that, you can do it with the left hand. If it is touching your mouth, then use the right hand. Like that. Or just use the right hand for drinking. Like that. Or even if you pick up, you can pour it like that. But you can use the left hand for drinking as long as it doesn't touch. Like that. Meditate on how Krishna tasted the offering. One can also meditate on Krishna's mercy in providing prasadam and the prasadam pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna. So we can meditate. We should be in a spiritual consciousness. It says that when you're taking prasad, only speak very light topics and spiritual topics. Don't speak anything heavy. Don't speak anything political. Don't speak anything mundane. In many places it says you should eat prasadam in silence. And you see Prabhupada, when he ate, he was in silence. He would eat by himself. You see where his table and mat are up there, and you see the picture. That's how Prabhupada would take. He'd face the wall by himself. It would take him 45 minutes to take his meal. He'd relish the prasadam, take it very slowly. If he wanted something else, he'd ring the bell, the servant would come, give him fresh chapatis, like that. So Prabhupada would relish the prasad. Or if you're going to be with the devotees, then speak spiritual topics, which are uplifting and purifying. Like that, because that's respectful to the prasad. Do not talk while honouring Mahaprasadam, besides glorifying Krishna and his prasad. So, if the prasad is not, if there's some defect, in other words, if it's burnt, or if it's over-salted, you should not, become overly critical. Start criticising the prasad and then go on and on and on like that. So then wait till afterwards and then maybe go and speak to the cook, right? And just say this is not the rice was burnt or the saji was too salty, or get some feedback. The cook should always get feedback. It actually mentions here later on, the cook should take the prasad themselves, like that. If you cook, you should taste what you cook to make sure it's of the right standard for Krishna. But during the prasad itself, do not criticize the prasad. It's offensive.
What, Prabhuji, if some food is there and Lord Krishna doesn't want to eat that?
What's that?
What if you offer some food to Krishna, bhog, and he, supposing if he doesn't like to eat that one, if he has not tasted it, so it is not prasad. So what will you do that? So that's not prasad then, is it?
If you cook, then you can't taste before you offer Krishna.
Yeah, that's not what she's asking. There's probably only one person in this room who can answer your question, and that's you. Because only you would know if Krishna did not eat the prasad. I wouldn't even know. Like that. I just think that he eats it all, so
Okay.
you're probably the only one who could work it out. Maybe he talks to you, I don't know. There's no other way to find out.
If you cook prasad, you cannot taste before you offer it. No?
Yeah, we know that.
So,
It's not prasad, it's called bhog.
Abhoga.
When you cook, it's bhog.
Yeah.
When Krishna takes it, then it's prasad.
And then after you taste, when you have whatever.
Yeah, we don't taste it before we offer it.
After.
Yeah. Prabhupada did sometimes. Sometimes Prabhupada would walk in, devotees were cooking, Prabhupada put his finger in and taste it, but Prabhupada's Prabhupada. Prabhupada would cook things, and then he'd give it to, one time he gave a laddu to my guru, Maharaj. He gave the laddu, he said, "What do you think?" To Krishna Maharaj, he tasted it, and he said, "It is not from this world." And Srila Prabhupada said, "This is a recipe from Mother Yashoda." So that's Prabhupada. So if he goes in the kitchen and tastes something, then no problem. If you go in the kitchen and taste something, then watch out.
See, Prabhuji, why
It'll be the
I'm
last time you do
asking?
anything.
Why I'm asking? Because once I cooked the food,
Yeah.
and after I offered it to the Lord, when I ate it, I said, maybe he didn't eat it because it doesn't taste right. So I was just thinking whether he ate it.
That's between you and him. Let me know what happens. Okay. Do not throw prasad. Never touch prasadam with your feet. So even if you touch the buckets with your feet, right, you should offer your obeisances. I've seen this in Jagannath Puri. They have so much respect in Jagannath Puri for Lord Jagannath's prasad that I've seen the Pandits sometimes accidentally touch the pot with his foot and immediately offered his obeisances to the prasad, because it is not different from Krishna. Just on that point, because we'll get, I don't know if it will be mentioned, but before prasadam we chant the prayers and then devotees offer their obeisances. But afterwards you don't offer your obeisances because everything is contaminated. This is part of suchiness. They do this in ISKCON, but you don't see it in the Gaudiya Math. You don't see it when you go to India. After everyone eats, you don't see anyone offering their obeisances. It's something you see a lot of devotees do it in ISKCON, but it's wrong. It's culturally, it's wrong. Because it means everything is contaminated, and then you're putting your head and your hands and everything in the contaminated area. It's not suchi. Right? It's uncultured, so don't do that. And if you see devotees doing that, then say to them, please, Prabhu, this is not correct. Otherwise, we become criticize our movement for not understanding these cultural points, cleanliness and so forth. It's very important.
Regarding throwing the prasadam, we see that sometimes, or many times, some prasadam is thrown from process.
Throw means throwing out. That's different. What they're saying here is throwing.
Or throwing.
Like prasadam. Yeah, throwing out means it's very difficult when you're cooking for 500 people or 400 people every day to get it exactly right. If it's vastly out, that's not good either. The cook should understand, because they're cooking every week, they should have a basic idea. When you're cooking for that many people, you can't exactly get it right. So, and the health department forces us to put it in the bin afterwards. So, Lord Chaitanya will overlook those things. Generally, we should not do it, but Especially at your home, you should know how much you're cooking for. And like that. When you're cooking for 500 people, 1,000 people, it's very difficult to work it out. It should be close, but it may not be exact.
There was some prasad left over, we give to the birds, put outside to the birds. You're right.
Yeah. That's what we do at our place. We just put it in the compost bin, or we give it to the birds or to the dogs, like that. So give it to the animals. That's also.
But speaking of cooking in huge quantities like feasts or even crossways, are you allowed to alter it if it's after you offer it? If you taste it and then it's not really right, but you cooked in huge quantity?
I don't understand.
If the offering is made and then it's the cook tastes it and there's less salt,
Yeah, then you add salt.
you're allowed to alter the prasadam.
That's already offered.
It's an altar.
No, but it is said that because Krishna has tasted with less salt, it's better that you also take as it is, and next time make the correction.
Not when it's for the public. Not when you're cooking for crossways. You don't say, oh, well, Krishna had less salt today, so 500 people can also. And then no one comes anymore.
No, crossways is different too, because in crossways people don't take as if it's taking prasadam, but in a house environment.
At your home, but here at the temple, it's for public distribution. So if it doesn't have enough salt in it, then you should put salt in it. Like that. And you should learn as a cook how to put the right amount of salt. Korma Prabhu can just smell it, he knows how much salt is in it. Mani Griva is the same. Mani Griva's got not enough salt. Murari Chaitanya, my godbrother, he's such an expert cook, he doesn't cook on measurements. He'd be cooking for 500 people, he just picks up with his hand the salt and he just goes. Perfect. Korma's the same. You see korma, you just go like that. And they smell it and they put it in. So you have to become expert.
See, Prabhuji, during Abhishek, when they put the garland made of dry fruits, and after
and then they throw it.
So it falls on the ground sometimes.
That's a festival. Everyone becomes very festive, and it means you shouldn't do it at breakfast time. That's the point.
But I feel, bad.
Yeah, you're right. But on another level, it's the festival also. And when it becomes very ecstatic in the festival, sometimes they're throwing their deities garlands. It's true. What you're saying is true technically. But there's also something which takes over, which is we don't normally do it.
Yeah, but see,
I know the point. I understand your point. But it's an exception. It means that you shouldn't do it during breakfast, lunch and dinner like that. Festival's a little different. So.
Difference between prasad and mahaprasad. Prasad and mahaprasad.
No, I heard your point. After that.
Prabhu, my question is, I used to do that sometimes while cooking. I would just smell and see if the spices are right or not. But how they say we should, when we are supposed to offer flowers, we don't smell them before we offer them to Krishna. Does it not go for food as well? We shouldn't, is it all right to smell it before we offer it to Krishna? Or
as long as your consciousness is correct. If you're smelling it thinking that, is that enough salt for Krishna? If that's what you're thinking, that's okay. If you're thinking, that smells nice, I can't wait, I hope Krishna eats. Because sometimes the way think, I hope Krishna eats quickly today. It smells good. That's not the right mentality. Okay. Any other points? So, do not throw prasadam, means throwing it. Don't throw prasadam. It's not called, never throw it. A devotee asks for something, don't just throw a puri or something like that. It's not respectful.
But servers do, Prabhu.
Huh?
Servers do here that when you're giving puri, you don't nicely leave it, but you sit this way.
So that's uncultured. A cultured person can do it. Can you imagine Prabhupada doing that? Can you imagine Prabhupada throwing a puri? No. Okay. Do not throw prasadam. Never touch prasadam with your feet. Wash hands, feet and mouth before and after eating. Drink a glass of water 1 hour before eating. For some time after eating, don't drink. If you at all have to drink, drink something hot. So this is an Ayurvedic point. Before your meal, you drink. during the meal, if you take water, just sip, don't take too much. And after a meal, you have to wait at least a couple of hours usually before you'll take water again. And especially in this weather, you should take warm water. In winter time, don't take cold water, especially in Melbourne, it's very cold. Only drink warm or hot drinks for the whole of winter. When you get back to summer, then you can have cold drinks again. Cold means not from the fridge, that's actually not good for the body. What's the temperature in here? Right? Temperature in here is like 36 degrees or something. That's our temperature in our body. You need heat to cook the fire, to cook the food. And then you take something out of the fridge, you pour in something which is 4 degrees, right? It's very detrimental to especially when you get older, it's very detrimental, especially in winter. That's why the non-devotees sleep so much. Like we only sleep 7 hours a day, they sleep like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, like that. Because, the way they eat, you drink a cold drink, and then that's it, your digestion's finished. So you have to keep the digestion always warm. So that's a practical point. Srila Prabhupada said, fill 1/4 of your stomach with water, half with food, and the other quarter with air. Do not overeat. Okay. My stomach goes down my legs. Because you see, when I take prasad, there's a lot more going in than a quarter or a half. My mother says I have hollow legs. I put it in and I fill up that leg first, then that leg, and then this stuff. Don't take me as an example. You should eat half your stomach. That's what you should eat. Like that. Also, you won't get sick if you only eat half. Like I can't speak on these points. People look at me when I eat and they go.
But you already reduced.
What is that?
You already reduced. You're not eating the
not as much as I used to. One time, Gyana Samudra, Gyana Samudra Prabhu? I was at Govardhan, at ISKCON Govardhan in Vrindavan, and he was looking for me, and he said, he's walking around asking devotees, have you seen Keshava? Have you seen Keshava with us? And they said, the guy who eats a lot. They said, yeah, he's just over there. I'm known all around the world, folks. But don't take that as an example. Prabhupada says they only eat half of what is there. So.
Prabhu, actually there is a school of thought that if you eat less, you can extend your lifespan. So therefore, people tend to eat less.
Yeah. The less you eat, the longer you'll live. That's it. I want to die soon. We should never waste Krishna Prasadam. The best thing is to cook only what is required and then give each person what he wants. That is the Vedic system. That the people sit in rows behind their plates and servers pass down the rows and put a very small portion of each foodstuff on each plate. Unless there is some objection by a person, then nothing is given. Then, if anyone wants more, the servers pass up and down the rows continually and give more if anyone requests. In this way, nothing is wasted and everyone is satisfied. Okay, so this is culture. This is the Vedic culture of how to serve prasad. The first thing Prabhupada is saying is that we have to learn, especially when we're cooking for smaller numbers of people, 20 people, 40 people, 5 people, 2 people, we should get an idea, if we're cooking regularly, how much to cook. If you're regularly cooking too much and throwing it out, that is not good. Prabhupada says we should cook enough that everyone gets fed as much as they want and there's nothing left. Right? And practically only Prabhupada can do that. Prabhupada can power, but very difficult to do. But we have to learn to do it. We shouldn't be wasting too much prasada. Just like one way to not overcook is just like on the weekend at the retreat, I told them to cook for 60 people. Right? But there was many more people there. There was maybe 90 people there. Like that. So then that was the right amount, because in ISKCON everyone cooks too much. So that's one way of controlling it. You just tell them it's less, like that. But the point is that we have to try to cook around about the right amount. Right? You should not be throwing prasadam out wastefully. It's actually offensive. Okay. Now the second thing is that the traditional system is that everyone sits on the ground. You'll see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, everyone is sitting in rows, and Lord Chaitanya and the other devotees would serve them. Now we have so many people coming to the temple now that we do the Bain-Marie system. People stand up and then they walk past and you give it. It's not the Vedic system. It's the practical system we use now, but as much as possible, when we have a small group of people, then we should serve like that. Everyone sits down and we go along and we serve the prasad. Now, serving is an art, right? And many devotees in ISKCON don't understand it properly, right? The first point is that the server should never speak. He should be silent, right? Now, as you're going along and serving, you see a lot of the time when you hear devotees serving, you hear them coming along going pakora, 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 sabji prasad, sabji prasad, sabji prasad. We know what it is. What you do is that you tilt the bucket. When you bring the prasad, you show the person you're serving what you have. So you bring the prasad so they can see it, right? Then they look at it. You don't even say anything. It's actually the best service is when the servers do not speak, right? And the person who is sitting, he doesn't even have to speak either, right? And then you put one spoon on their plate, right? Serve slowly. Put one spoon on their plate, not a huge spoon, but a normal spoon. And then you slowly put the spoon back in, and then start to put on the second plate. On the retreat we just had on the weekend, anyone who was there, if you saw Dayananda Prabhu from Brisbane, if anyone was served by him, he knows how to serve prasad. Also, Kirti also knows how to serve prasad very nicely. Sorry to embarrass you like that, because it's awkward when you get pointed out, but you've served before prasad and you know how to serve properly. So follow him around next time he's serving. He actually knows how to serve prasad. So you go up when someone is serving, and then you just put one spoon on the plate, right? You put the second spoon on the plate, right? And then you put the third spoon on, and then the devotee, he'll just put his hand up. If he doesn't want any more, just go like that. That's not the time when you put the fourth spoon under their hand, or over their hand, or over the top, or around the corner, or you say, what's that? And then you put it on. Some people do this. Right? It's not the highest culture. It's not the highest level of service. The only time you can break these rules is on festival days. Festival days means we're having a big feast, it's Gorpanim, and then everyone's putting more prasad on each other's plates, and it becomes a great deal of fun. And that's nice. And then we're throwing the garlands, and we do all the things we don't normally do. That's okay, but not normal day to day. So when you're serving the devotees, the server should not even be speaking. And the person who's being served, they don't need to speak. Maybe they're talking to the devotee next to them, and you're just serving nicely, and then all they have to do is just put their hand when they've had enough, and then that's it. Right? So you have to learn how to serve nicely. Then it becomes very nice. And when the person is finishing that particular prep, he's finishing his subject, then you come and offer more of that subject to that person. Right? Just when they're just their last mouthful. Like if you're serving your spiritual master, when we can really focus, this is how we should serve all the devotees, then just when he's taking their last mouthful of one subject, then you come and offer that subject again. Like that. And in this way, when the person is eating, they take exactly how much they want. They don't overeat. Right? Don't make the devotees eat more than what they want. That's not the best standard. One time, because if you see what Prabhupada ate for lunch every day, right? Chapatis, 2 sabjis, maybe 3 sabjis, rice, dal. That was Prabhupada's lunch every day. Right? One time he was in Los Angeles, he was walking past the kitchen and the Madhajis were cooking for him, and they were cooking like 15 preparations, because Prabhupada is the Jagat Guru of the universe, so they're cooking everything for him so nicely. Prabhupada walked by and he looked in, he said, who are you cooking for? They said, we're cooking for you, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, are you cooking for you or are you cooking for me? Because Prabhupada doesn't eat like that. What does the Guru want? What do the devotees want? We're not deities. But you can cook for the deities very opulently. Have you seen what they have at 4:10 in the morning? Right. 6 types of milk sweets. Right? You try to have 6 types of milk sweets at 4:10 in the morning, and then go to Mangalati, and then at 6:30 again, right? Then at 8:10 again, right? At 11:30 again, at 3:40 again, at 6:40 again, at 8:40 again. They can do it. That's fine. But we're human beings. So we have a limitation. So devotees should be served properly. Right? Don't give them too much prasad. The best service, you give them exactly what they want. That's the best. Like that. So this is the culture. We should learn how to serve nicely. Okay. So all... Okay, that's good. So, especially when if we're serving in this way, where devotees are sitting and we're serving out, then the system is you just keep bringing the same preparations around again and again and again until everyone's finished. Right? You don't just bring them around once and then come back and say, do you want anything else? No, you don't speak. That's the point. The best servers do not speak. And when the devotee is taking prasad, they don't need to ask for anything again. Right? That's second class. The devotee says, I need some more pakoras. That's already, it's not the best service. The best service is that as soon as they finish the pakoras, you'll have the pakoras there again. In other words, you're just going around continuously. It's difficult to do because it means you have to have the right amount of servers and everything to do it properly and nicely, but that should be the system. That's the best. Okay, all to be served should be invited to sit on the floor, and prasadam should be served by qualified devotees. Right? So Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he says that if you're the server, if you need to eat before you start serving, like in Mayapur, you're serving a big feast, there's hundreds of devotees or thousands of devotees, right? And you're on the serving party, sometimes they feed the service before they begin, because they know it'll take 2 hours and it's been a half-day fast. And then everyone's mind's peaceful and they can serve nicely. If you're going to be one of the servers, you have to serve nicely. If you're going to be agitated, it will disturb. 50% of the digestion is in the cooking, the other 50% is in the serving. So if you're not served nicely, even though it's a very nice feast, but if you're not served nicely, hard to digest properly. Those who are served should be very clean, peaceful and satisfied. They should eat before serving, if necessary. They should try not to speak while serving. Doesn't mean you don't have to speak at all, but generally you don't need to say much like that. Especially you see devotees just going, you can hear it. There's hundreds of devotees. You just hear someone's going, Sabji Prasad, Sabji Prasad, Sabji Prasad, Sabji Prasad. I remember one devotee used to say, Panija water, Panija water, Panija water, Panija water, Panija water, Panija water. For 15 minutes. And it's very hard to. When you're taking prasad, you should be peaceful. That's the point. When you take prasad, you should be peaceful. One time, my spiritual master in Vrindavan, he was taking prasad, and I was a young brahmachari, and I was chanting japa outside his dining room. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, so. And he said, Keshava, go and chant somewhere else. Because he's trying to have prasad. Right? And that's the holy, you can say, well, that's the holy name of Krishna. But for him, it was just disturbing. Because he just wanted to take prasad, peacefully. So you're chanting your japa right next to someone's taking prasad. It's not so culturally nice. Okay. Especially if devotees are resting also. Devotees are taking rest. You have to be mindful of these things. I remember Krishna Maharaj, he was in India, they were doing a yatra, and they had lunch, and then they had a bus, and all the devotees went to take rest on the bus. And then my godbrother, Rupa Raghunath Prabhu, do you know him? He comes here to Melbourne sometimes. He's a very exalted Vaishnava. So then him and his wife, Krishna Rupa, after prasad, everyone went on the bus to take rest, but they started doing a Hare now, just the two of them next to the bus. For all the pilgrims who were walking past with mridanga and kartals. So Krishna Maharaj, after about 5 minutes, he pulled the window down the bus. He said, "Stop chanting Hare Krishna," because that wasn't a service at that point in time. Devotees are resting or trying to take prasad. Just let them be peaceful. Don't sit there chanting a japa while everyone's having prasad, and go and chant somewhere else. Serve just the right amount so that nothing is wasted. Right? So just give everyone exactly what they want. Like that. Maybe on feast days you can be a little bit liberal. You can give a little bit more. That's okay, because it's a feast. So, on Gorpanim or something. Seniors should be served first. Householders should serve the guests. All people and children should be served first. Place salt and lemon. Okay, now we're going to get into the order. This is the order that things should be served. Devotees need to understand this because, unfortunately, devotees don't understand these things properly. And you can have a very nice feast, but if it's not served in the right order, it wrecks the feast. It brings the whole standard down. So it's very important how everything is served. Now, last few years, I've been going to, sometimes it happens in this temple, but I've been going to New Govardhan. I'll probably go there again this year. And sometimes I'm there for the festivals, but they cook a nice feast, but it's served terribly. You know, and they've got like, 4 rows of devotees, like 400 devotees sitting down, and they've got all these nice preparations, but then they, whoever's organising the serving doesn't know what he's doing. So he sends, 4 buckets of rice to each row, and then everyone serves rice. So then you're just sitting there for 10 minutes with just rice on your plate. So you've got this nice feast, so then everyone's hungry because they've been fasting all day. They eat the rice and then they bring sabji. So then you've got sabji just on your plate for 5 minutes. So then you're hungry, so you eat your sabji, and then they bring pakoras. It doesn't work. So that's like if you see on the retreat on the weekend when we're all serving, like say you have 2 or 3 rows of devotees, and you only have 5 devotees to serve out, everything should be served in 1 row together. Right? All the preps. And then when that it will take time, yes, and it is frustrating being in the 4th row. It's bad karma. Or like you have the weddings, like Brahma Queen's wedding, and there's like 96 tables or something. Wasn't that many, but it's like 36 tables or something. And I had the microphone, so tables 1 and 2, please go to your prasad too. And then I was joking, because all the devotees there, I was saying, what's the definition of bad karma? Table 36. His table 36 is sitting there like, oh my God, I've been sitting there for 45 minutes while table 1's already on their dessert. It's not so nice. So when you're serving, it's better that the devotees in the 4th row, they wait 10 minutes for the prasad to get there, than just, someone feels, we have to give them something, and just go and give them rice. It doesn't work. Right? So we have to serve nicely. The best thing is that we have enough servers to make it all happen very nicely. That's the best thing. So devotees should be enthusiastic to serve out prasad. Okay, so place salt and lemon on each plate before those to be served are seated. So salt, if you're going to put salt, quite often in Mayapur they'll have salt on your plate when you arrive. There'll be thousands of devotees, the salt's already there. And if lemon, nimbu, if you're going to have lemon, then you put that before the people come. Especially if you're only serving a few people, or people come to your home, especially you should do this.
It is also said that you need to place the salt in the right side and the other part on the left side. You can't place vegetables on one side erratically. There are places within the plate where you need to place the salt and the vegetable and the dal, so that they know that which item is coming in which place.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, always serve water first. Okay, so what is the first thing that we serve? The drink, right? Water. Generally it's water, or nimbu pani, or tea, or whatever what it's serving is the drink. That's what you serve first. So what do we serve first?
Rice here.
Here they serve everything. Here you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get the helper first. Sometimes you get the rice, sometimes you get... But it's always the drink is first. Right? And if there's 2 drinks, if there's water and lassi as an example, the water goes first. Like that. So this should be done.
So can we change the order this Saturday when you serve the feast? First drink table, then rice, then other items?
Yeah, that's a bain-marie system. That doesn't. This is not even talking about bain-marie system. This is talking about sit down. What does it matter? Because you got your plate and you got your drink, so what's the difference?
All these things, that's what I was going to say, these things don't apply to here because it's a totally different situation.
No, because I'm talking about breakfast as well.
Yeah, that's
if you go and sit for breakfast, where we do the sit down system. Actually, another point we'll make while we're on the point. The whole thing now that everyone just goes and serves themselves.
Yeah, this is
right? This is not even culture. This is not etiquette. Right? This is called impersonalism. Right? It's Mayavad. You're in the wrong sampradaya.
Yeah.
Right? You join the wrong movement. Vaishnavas don't serve like that. You go upstairs, you get everyone to sit down, and the best thing is that everyone should go and get the prasad. This is what happened when we were in the ashram. Class would finish, we'd all come out, we'd all go and get the prasad, help each other take it up stairs, right? Learning our shlokas or whatever we're doing while we're, takes 5 minutes to take everything upstairs. Upstairs, then everyone would sit down, and whoever's going to serve would sit down, would start serving while the others sit down. Now everyone comes at different times. Everyone waits for George to take everything upstairs by himself, and then everyone just turns up whenever they want and serves themselves. It's total impersonalism. Don't think Prabhupada is satisfied with this. That's not what he envisioned. It's not culture.
So is it warm water or is it cold water?
Depends on the season.
Because see, there's so much ghee is put there, and unless you drink warm water, it won't be dissolved. So
Yeah, cool. In summer you serve cool water, and in winter you serve warm water.
even if it is summer, if you drink cold water, the ghee won't be dissolved.
Yeah. So drink warm water. That's okay.
Even in summer.
You just said.
I mean, what I'm asking is, they don't like to drink warm water in summer. So what do you do?
Warm means not hot. You can't drink hot water in summer, but you can drink warm water. That's okay.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, lukewarm, like that. Yeah, I don't drink cold water when I'm in my meal. In summertime I drink cool water during the day, but when I'm eating I have warm water.
But above you said you should be drink 1 hour before.
Yeah, and then during the meal, then you just drink a little bit of water. That's Ayurveda. Okay, so what gets served first? Water. Or drink. Very good. You all passed your exam. See what happens tomorrow. Prasadam should be served in the following order. First, bitter preparations like shukta or bitter melon. Right? Jayapataka Swami says you serve the bitter first because then everything afterwards tastes good. But it's actually very good for the digestion. Right? It's very good for the health. It stimulates the digestion. Ayurveda says in every meal you should have all 6 rasas or 6 tastes. We don't eat a lot of bitter in this culture, in the Western culture. We hardly ever eat it. So you should take bitter regularly. Very good. Neem. Prabhupada actually said if you take 2 neem leaves every day, you'll never get sick. So you should take regular. Okay, bitter. Then spinach and other astringent items. Then fried preparations and dal. Then various spicy vegetables. Then sour items. Then sweet preparations. Then rice and chapatis are staple foods and should be on the plate. So we always serve chapatis before rice, right? Because chapatis, wheat, is harder to digest than rice. Rice is very lagu, it's light. Wheat is more like, it's also lagu, it's taken by itself, but it's harder to digest. So if you have chapatis and rice, you'll serve the chapatis first in the meal. So it means you'll bring the chapatis in the very beginning. Like you might put 1 or 2 sabjis on the plate, right? Drinks already there. You put 1 or 2 sabjis on the plate, and then you bring the chapatis so people can start taking. And then if there's extra sabjis, then you start to bring them. Generally, the way to understand the sabjis is that the bitter is first, obviously, and then if there's any sak or astringent, then you bring that next. And then generally, you'll go from light to heavy. So if you have like a deep fried paneer, you bring that at the end. Right, and the lighter the vegetable subjects, you bring that earlier. So then gradually you go like that from light to heavy. Generally that's the standard, after the bitter and the astringent, basically. So then you bring the chapatis continuously. You just keep bringing them. When the person's finished the chapati, then you bring the next chapati, like that. And then the dal, you can put in a bowl, right, earlier in the meal. And then the rice, generally, in the Gujarati system at least, you'll leave that till the end. Then you'll sit, when the chapatis are finished, then you'll bring rice, and then they'll mix that with the dal. But in Bengal, on the other side of India, or in the south of India, they'll eat the rice from the very beginning. So you also have to understand which cuisine you're serving. If you're serving Gujarati, then serve it properly. Right? Chapatis first. You never serve rice first to a Gujarati. They'll just look at you like, hey, what's wrong? No one eats like that. No one eats like that in Gujarat. But then, if you go to Bengal, the rice is in the beginning. If you go to South India, right, it's all rice preparations from the very beginning. It's a different system. So you have to understand what is the system. This is basically a Gujarati. And it's very interesting because Prabhupada was born in Bengal. Right? Calcutta is a Bengali, but he ate like a Gujarati. Prabhupada ate like a Gujarati. He preferred puris and chapatis, and that's what Prabhupada ate. And he had rice at the end. That's how he ate. Even though he was born in Bengal. No one eats like that in Bengal. But Prabhupada did. You had your hand up? Or? Right.
It says sweet preparations before rice.
Sweet preparations. Sour items, sweet preparations. Chutneys and things like that, I think it might mean. Like sweet, kind of like that. Yeah, things that, so it doesn't mean sweets like that, but sweet things. Although in Gujarat, they'll bring like jalebis and things you bring in the beginning, and then during, and then at the end, if they're hot. Jalebi should go all the way through, if they're hot, like that. And also in Gujarat, they'll serve a little sweet in the beginning, like that vermicelli. You know, they'll a little of that in the beginning, then at the end there'll be more sweets. And in South India, quite often it's the custom to give like a little sweet just in the beginning, because that represents Lakshmi. Yeah, little like sweet in the beginning, and then they'll go like that. In Bengal, they won't do that though. Bengali, they won't have any sweet in the beginning. They'll start with bitter, like that, and then if you serve Bengali sweet in the beginning, they'll think that's very strange. But Gujarat, they'll expect something like that. So you have to understand the culture as well. Okay. Go around serving seconds until everyone... Oh no, sweet preparations doesn't mean sweets. Sorry, because that's what it is. Go around serving seconds until everyone is satisfied. Don't be stingy. Don't hold anything back because you want to take it later. Prasadam is meant for distribution. Also very important, when you're serving, don't put things, all the items should not touch each other on the plate. The sabji should be separate. Best is that you have thali, you have like little bowls, which are separate. If you don't have bowls and everything, but nothing should touch. Right? Did anyone ever serve Tamal Krishna Maharaj? So if you served the sabjis and they touched on the plate, right, then he was very upset. Right? It would never happen. You know, you had to make sure everything was completely separate. Right? You'd never serve like, you know, one sabji laps onto another sabji, or, you know, what's worse is when like the sweet rice goes on the spinach. You know, Korma Prabhu used to cook big elaborate feasts, and then they would serve them out upstairs like Bain Marie style on the plates, but they'd just mix everything together, and he would be so upset. You know, that he cooked all these nice things and it was all, it's very uncultured. You know, when, you know, you cook a nice feast, or even you go and have breakfast, and then someone puts sweet rice on your khichdi. It's like, it doesn't make sense. That's right. So when you serve, make sure everything is always separate. Like that. Do not touch plates with the serving spoon. Touching the plate contaminates the spoon. If a spoon becomes contaminated, you should wash it. So be very careful. You always drop the prasad, right? Just from a small distance, a few inches above the plate, you drop it on the plate. Be very careful. The serving spoon never touches the plate. And don't do it so high that it just splashes everywhere. Yeah, it's nothing better than your white dhoti's just got tomato just like. And then you have to go out preaching afterwards. Really nice preaching.
You mean don't touch it even to the original plate that's clean? Or you mean that when it's good in seconds on?
If it's a paper plate, there's no contamination. If it's a metal plate, because the metal plates get used all the time, if the spoon touches that, that's not, even if they haven't eaten yet, it's not. Paper plates don't matter because they're not like that. But still, you should always just drop it onto the plate.
An item like noodles, we find that one end is touching the plate, the other end is just to be careful with the serve.
That's a little tricky.
Yeah, one needs to be careful so that you drop it. Both the ends are not in touch with each other.
Yeah. As much as possible. Noodles and things like that are a little tricky.
But it's not really in the Vedic cuisine.
What's that?
It's not in the Vedic cuisine, noodles. So that's
Not those kind of noodles, like that. Vermicelli's there, but not like spaghetti or. Don't let your fingers touch any of the preparations, even water. Salt should never be served by hand. Use a spoon. Like that. You can use your fingers for pakoras, chapatis, puris, sweets, dry sweets like laddus and things. Use your hands, but your hands must be clean. You have to make sure your hands are clean.
It can never be clean in summer, Prabhu. Your hand is always sweating, and you're supposed to use gloves and then do it, or a tong. But
Yeah.
we don't practice that.
Yeah, that's true. But generally, if you're not perspiring, then you can serve those things with your hands, but just make sure you're clean. Yeah. So those things, I mean, if you're up there, you should monitor those things.
I've seen devotees in India using kitchen, using their hands. That's like human tradition, and here as well. Since it's not correct.
I don't understand what you're.
Well, because you said it was something small like chapatis or dry sweets you can eat with your fingers.
No, it's serving. Serving, not eating.
Oh.
In Vedic culture, you eat everything with your fingers, like that. Just serving, that's all. And also, we said last week, make sure your fingernails don't touch. When you're serving out like the drinks and so forth, don't put your fingernails in. It's considered to be contaminated. Salt should never be served. Never touch prasadam with your feet or step over it. Serve the prasadam from serving buckets. So, as much as possible, avoid plastic, especially when you're serving your spiritual master. And even the devotees. We use all ghee buckets here because we have unlimited ghee buckets and they're very functional. But actually plastic's not a very high class thing to serve from. Better we have metal, but for practical reasons we use the plastic. But especially if you're serving the Guru. Jayapataka Swami says, don't serve me. If you've got plastic, he says, don't serve me. He won't accept it if it's in plastic. It's not cultured.
We should change to stainless steel buckets because other temples they serve only in stainless steel buckets.
Yeah, it's not impossible. We can do it. We can do it, but we require a great deal of organisation. So maybe when we have the new kitchen, then we can. Don't drag buckets along the floor or make clanging noises with pot handles or utensils. Serve quietly. After everyone is finished honouring prasadam, clean the place immediately. So that is an important point, that the prasadam hall, this is something which needs to be monitored as much as possible. Everything should be cleaned immediately with water. Because I suppose because of manpower constraints and so forth, sometimes we don't always follow those things. But if you go to the Gaudiya mats in India, if you take prasad, straight after prasad, when everyone's finished, they just put water in. Or if you go to Mayapur, you'll see, everyone will throw water and then they'll bring the squidgies and the brooms and they'll just clean everything and everything will be clean straight away. That's actually the system. So we should try to do that as much as possible. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada. Story of Prabhupada's visit along with some of his disciples at the ashram of Puri Maharaj in Vishakhapatnam. Prabhupada's godbrother Ananda was eager to cook and serve not only Srila Prabhupada but all his disciples. Ananda was elderly, yet he took the position of always offering menial service. Although he spoke very little English, Prabhupada's disciples could perceive the affection of Ananda and Srila Prabhupada for each other. Ananda's communication with Srila Prabhupada's disciples was particularly manifest through his cooking and serving of prasadam. A wonderful description is then given on how Ananda would serve all the devotees prasadam. Each morning everyone would gather on the veranda outside Prabhupada's quarters, with the men sitting on one side, the ladies on the other. Down the centre aisle, Ananda would walk briskly, distributing prasadam. while Prabhupada sat at one end in a wooden chair, fingering his japa beads and observing the devotees take prasadam. Prabhupada had supplied money to the ashram, and Ananda was regularly cooking sumptuous feasts, deep-fried chunks of potato and in powdered spices, rice, yogurt, dal, 3 types of sabjis, French fries, chutney, malpura, rajkeli, sandesh, kheer, and everything cooked to a nectarian standard of excellence. Prabhupada would sit at the head of the 2 rows and encourage them to take prasadam. Give him more, Prabhupada would praise Ananda's cooking, smiling with pleasure to see his disciples accept prasadam. The devotees would finish, having been induced to eat as much as they possibly could. And Srila Prabhupada would say aloud the Prema Dwani. Then all the devotees would shout in response, Jai. After one such feast, Prabhupada called the devotees into his room and remarked, "See how he is cooking. He cooks everything, he serves it, and then he doesn't eat until everyone is fully satisfied. This is a Vaishnava. How he should act. He is more satisfied to serve than to enjoy himself." And that's how Prabhupada began ISKCON. Sunday feast in ISKCON, 26 2nd Avenue, 1966. Srila Prabhupada would cook 12 items. He once sent a letter to the whole movement, which he didn't do on very many occasions, but he once sent a letter to the whole of ISKCON saying that for every Sunday feast there should be at least 12 preparations. And he listed, he said puris, pakora, chutneys, 3 sweets, and he listed everything that we should cook. So Srila Prabhupada would cook everything, he would serve everything, right? He would make sure everyone had taken, and then he would clean everything up afterwards. That's how the movement began. So a very high standard. So I have some more notes here. As you're going out, you can take them like that. They'll give you some more information and some more quotes on how to honor prasadam. Hands up if you would like to hear more about. We were thinking we could do some classes on avoiding offences from chapter 8 of the Nectar of Devotion. How to avoid offences in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so you'll see the poster. We'll do the class either next week or the next few weeks, and we'll put the poster up and then you can go on. Any other questions?
So sometimes the devotee is not using because in chanting we don't use this finger, so is it appropriate? Because normally
when we chant japa?
And also while planning Prasadam, I see them using this. I don't know whether it's...
No, when you take prasad, you can use all the fingers.
It's nothing Shastric that is Vishnu used.
When you take prasad, you can use all the fingers. There's no... It says, I think I've been told that the Brahmana will only use up to the first line. Like that, you see when the Brahmanas eat, they'll eat very... The Kshatriya will go up to about the second line. Like that. The Brahmana, the Vaishya will go to the third line. And the Sudra just kind of just eats with everything like this.
I thought you were going to say about the numbers. When we buy, there are some numbers.
Yeah, that was on the email, but I don't know why that was there. Any other questions?
It said when serving prasadam should be served by qualified devotees. Quite often we see just guests coming in serving prasadam just who aren't practicing. So,
yeah, I mean the prasadam should be served by brahmanas. That should be served by brahmanas. It's because we have manpower constraints. So sometimes people, but actually if someone is serving you, the karma, because karma is transferred by touch. Like if I touch you, right? And that's why, the sadhus in India, everyone wants to touch their feet. Because they want to transfer their karma or their pap into the sadhu and that'll be nullified. So when you touch someone, right, then you're transferring your karma. I remember one time my spiritual master was sitting up there in the darshan room and he asked for some water and the devotee came in that was full of devotees. So they passed the water, and it was all devotees. There was no non-devotees, all devotees. And the next day he was sick, because 20 devotees had passed the water to get to him. And he said, I got sick because all the karma was transferred. And that was devotees. Like that. So when you touch, or when you serve, or when you cook, that's why it says we don't cook food by non-devotees, because their karma is transferred like that. So even when you're being served, okay, if non-devotees are serving, then karma will be transferred. Therefore, and because we have manpower constraints, that's why these things are taking place. But actually the brahmanas should be serving and cooking. Very, very.
Is there any way to bypass that karma?
Not really.
What about the cooks in the kitchen? Should they wear appropriate clothing?
Yeah, of course.
So that in shorts is not is a no-no, or?
Take a wild guess.
Right.
Yeah. Shorts is not good.
No, just that the shorts happens a lot in their kitchen, that's all.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but it should not be happening.
Prasadam never gets contaminated. It's always pure. So, if someone non-devotee has touched the prasad while he is eating, so then that prasad becomes mochi, or?
No, but it means that in the very beginning of the movement, like 1968, they used to serve out the Sunday feast.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, all the guests would come, the non-devotees, and they would eat like the samosa. They'd take one bite, they leave it on the plate, and then they'd throw them in the bin. So then my spiritual master, he was a new devotee, and other devotees, they would go around after the feast, everyone had left, and they'd pick out all the samosas out of the bin. Right? One bite was taken out of, and then they would put them in the drawer and eat them for the rest of the week. And then when Prabhupada heard they were doing that, he said, don't do that. He said, you are not so advanced. Even though it is prasadam, but you are not advanced, you will take the contamination or the consciousness or the sins from those non-devotees. So even though it was prasadam, Prabhupada said, do not do that. Never take the remnants of a non-devotee.
One practical suggestion I always wanted to have, especially in crossways, when it's busy and due to lack of enough manpower, it's always problematic to clean every 5-10 minutes. Some papadam falls down, rice falls on the floor, and you step on that actually. That's one problem. Plus quantity, we cannot say how many customers turn up today. So there's always some wastage. So I need something practical, how to...
Yeah, so with the wastage, it should be as close as possible. There will be wastage because it's hard, when you're cooking for 500 people, it's hard to get it exact, but it should be close. And with the prasadam dropping on the floor, then Lord Chaitanya will overlook that. You're stepping on the prasad, like you said, you're serving out 500 people, going quickly, some rice or papadam falls on the floor, you step on that. Lord Chaitanya does not, he won't give you any reaction. Doesn't mean that you're careless.
Yeah.
You be as careful as you can, but Lord Chaitanya is practical. So. Okay, we'll stop there. Srila Prabhupada ki, Mahaprasada ki.